Is this her episode?
I was clutching my pearls a little bit. I was like, oh no. What's up, everybody? My name's Nick.
And my name is Sue.
And we're here to give you
a reality check.
Yes, ma'am. Let's get into it. Survivor 49, episode 10. Sue, we're almost at the end of this season.
It's insane. This goes by way too fast. It's insane.
So fast. Unlike Josh's vacation, he is still not here. We are missing our lovely Josh, but to fill the void and to fill the gap, we have a very special guest. Sue, would you like to welcome them in?
Yes, someone that I've been loving to have on this show. She's from my season 47. She's sharp, she's real, and has this perspective that I totally admire. Our good friend, or my good friend, Aysha.
I'm so excited to be here.
I know, we are so excited to have you. We're slowly chipping away at the entire cast of Survivor 47.
Right.
And I was thrilled. I was thrilled to get you, Aysha. I was just when you were like, yeah, I would love to. I'm like, oh my God. I text Nick right away, and I'm just like,
I know, and then I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Especially after all of the wine content that we got while you were all having your girls trip, I was like, yeah, this thing on the pod.
Right. Well, I'm very excited to be here. It's good to talk about, Survivor, especially after the fact. It just, I don't know, especially because, I've had experience talking, podcasting in the past about Survivor here and there. But for those familiar with me at all, besides Survivor 47, I podcast for Rob has a podcast, and I mostly talk about like Married at First Sight and Love is Blind. And so dabbled in Survivor, which was just wild on the show to be like, oh, as a Survivor podcaster, like, I'm not.
Production took that and ran with it.
Watch out, Rob.
Exactly. But now even post playing, it's like, it's so interesting because I'm sure, Sue, you recognize this all the time. It's just like, we can't take the edit at face value.
No.
And so it's really hard to kind of have these opinions about gameplay with knowing that we're missing out on hours of like content and hours of things that could have moved the needle, but it wasn't as interesting to show on the show. So it's been interesting. So props to you and you two and Josh for talking about the show every week, because I know it's not easy.
I find that every time something happens, I'm always putting myself in that situation. We were there, we experienced it, and I'm always just like, what would I have done, or would I have gotten along with this person, or would I have not gotten along with this person, or all these little things, and I don't know, like I even when I'm watching The Island, I'm looking to see if anything looks familiar, and I don't know if it's about the same thing, but
all the time. Because I think that especially like the Lavo Beach, I've been trying to like see which tribe, and there is like there's a Reddit thread that has like all of the tribes and the beaches that they were on. And apparently the Blue tribe was on Lavo's beach this season, and the Merge tribe but not specifically where Lavo was, because where we were was like not, I wouldn't recommend it to my worst enemy.
Yours was bad.
Yeah. So, but I think they are in a different part of the beach. So it's like, you recognize those little things like, oh
yes.
Yeah. And then, you think about, especially with this season, with Sage being there, our 47 alternate, you're like, oh my gosh, like, I even think about the reverse. Like, how would Sage, like, who would Sage have been as tight with, who, like, she had a Joanne this season, would have been a scenario like that where she just had one person, or who would she have jailed with the most on 47? So that's really
so getting to know Sage's game from the edit and what we see, do you feel you would have vibed well with her?
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like already pre-game, we were like making eyes, like smiling. I was really excited to play with her. I couldn't wait. My main thing was I couldn't wait to see what tribe she was on. And then, I just felt like I got the rug pulled from under me when we found out that I was like, what? Oh no.
That was devastating. That was devastating.
I was like, I spent too much of my energy focused on giving good vibes to Sage.
No, you didn't, because that's who you are. That's totally who you are. So you gave good vibes to me too. So.
That's so funny to hear, like, all the bits and pieces from the pregame that we got a little bit from Caroline last week. Sue has shared so many the production pre-stories, and it sounds like you guys are all speed dating without talking. Like, you're just running through with each other and sharing looks, small touches, and it's like you guys are like, it sounds like one of those like fantasy books where like the spiciest thing is like they hold hands. I'm like, what is going on?
Exactly. One look.
Like the eye contact, right? And the smile. And that's what I feel like. The majority of the people, I felt like we were all doing that, and it was just felt good and comfortable, right? But there were certain people that stood out a little bit more, like you're saying, you felt you connected a lot with Sage. So that really would have been so interesting to see, if she had been in our mix instead of somebody else.
I know. And so it's really.
So who would you have booted out, Sue?
Oh, no, I don't know. I liked every single one of the girls. So I can't even say, but I don't know. What do you?
Yeah, I can't say. Like that literally, you can't.
I was being messy.
A +1. She was a +1. That's what it would have been.
Yeah.
Let's pick a guy.
Yeah,
I could do that.
You know what? We have a list from 47 of people we would swap out for sure. But getting into this episode, speaking of Sage, there was a lot of Sage edit this episode, which we will get into. But I want to talk about Miss Christina. She dominated a lot of this episode, and I just want to kind of jump right into her whole arc, because we have had nothing but good things to say about Christina, other than when it comes to the challenges, really. But like her personality, her social gameplay, absolutely love. And it was very good to see that, like, the grass isn't always greener for everybody. Like, she is struggling, even though she shows up to every challenge smiling, And
it was so hard to watching her come back to camp realizing, like, look, I'm now on the bottom. Because like me and Steven had no idea what that was going to happen. And it's not even that like Alex was like a top priority in her game, and maybe he was, and we didn't see that. But it was just kind of like one of those, you come back to camp and it's like, okay, is the writing on the wall? Like, am I just, will anything I do at this point matter if I'm already on the bottom? Especially not knowing the lay of the land, because she thought she had a really good understanding of how the tribe was made up, who was with who. And now all of that is just like falling on its head.
Yeah, and talk about having the rug pulled out, just like you and with Sage. She's like,
yeah, exactly.
Like the blindsides, they dig deep. They hit you hard, because especially when you're the one, obviously you're left out there. We all see that there's conversations going on. We all know people are walking off together, and we weren't invited to go, and you're just hoping that everything's good. But a blindside's just a really tough night. The next day, that night, it's a really tough night to come back to.
Yeah, the blindsides and stuff always just remind me of like being in high school, of like all the cool kids got together and like made a decision, and you thought you were in with them, and then everybody said that we were going to wear skirts to school, and everybody showed up wearing pants. Like, it's a whole thing on top of all of the like internal journey that Jeff always mentions. You go here for the journey that you're working through mentally, to then have to also play the game on top of it. I can imagine just gets so heavy. And we see in this episode that it gets too heavy, unfortunately, for Christina. She does kind of break and she cracks. But
that was devastating. I have to tell you though, but look, the episode before she did too, right?
Yeah.
So I remember we had the conversation, and I just said, it's really, this game just brings you to your core. And this last episode, I was devastated when she just started saying she wanted her father. Like, that was devastating to me. And it makes you so raw. And, the fact that she still can get it off her chest. And I have to give kudos to Jeff, right? Because he actually had her talk it out, and she felt better afterwards, which was probably just what she needed, because you're almost ashamed to let this out, and you're embarrassed and you don't think anybody else feels the same way you feel. And the fact that, you know, she was able to get this off her chest, I think she, you know, I feel like emotionally and mentally she was much better.
Yeah, I love Christina because I feel like she is somebody who, like, it's what happens when you put a person like that's not like a game bot into the game. You know,
Yes.
she's feeling these things really hard. She hasn't completely detached herself from her home life to where it's like, you know, she's being affected by, you know, being at this point in the game, being on the bottom. It's making her think of her mom. It's making her think of, you know, how she misses her mom, and how, you know, maybe being here at this point, like for the 2 weeks so far, it has been a distraction from those feelings that she's feeling every day. Because 3 years is not a long time ago, you know, like that is very recent. And so, you know, I'm glad that she got that out, because like you said, Nick, like the journey is, I mean, it's a part of it. If you don't win, you have to take something from your experience, right? And so if you're able for her to get that out and just like in her most vulnerable state, let out this cry, let out this vulnerability, like if all she needed that was for herself, then it's like, that is amazing. And I mean, and it touched other, you know, everyone else. Like you saw people getting a little choked up, but I'm glad she had this moment, because being out there, and going through like the lowest of lows, it is really nice to have like, okay, at least I feel like I was able to heal one piece of me in that moment of just like that need. Yeah.
And it wasn't, you know, it wasn't like, oh, Jeff, you know, I'm struggling, I miss my mom. It was like a full, like, if whether or not she takes away from this experience having worked through it, or now this has opened the door to start working through it, you know, kudos to her, because I can imagine you get to this point where like you don't even remember that the cameras are there. You're so developed in the game. And I'm just sitting there thinking, for me, like, as somebody who's not in the game, wow, like I would feel so like nervous to share something like that, just because it extends into the game a little bit when you show that you are struggling, as much as it is a personal, like human moment. As much as, you know, it's kind of terrible to think about that, like her being upset about her mom might reflect how she's playing in the game. It happens. So there's part of me that's like, oh, this is such a heavy moment on my heart, but also I'm like, I hope that this doesn't do bad for her, like down the line, of people starting to think that maybe she can't get to that finish line. But I was hoping that the beginning of the episode, she was down, and I was like, okay, before the reward, we're going to see her be up. She has an idol. People are maybe going to like bring her to the end. She's got Steven, you know, like, and then it just kind of kept going down. And she had a harder and harder time. But moving away from Christina, we have a very big pre-reward game strategy, and we haven't even hit the first challenge. We have Steven and Sage and Jawan all on this like we don't trust each other circle, sharing Christina's idol. Jawan gives Steven this layup to be like, you have an opportunity to tell me the truth. And Steven continues to lie. So we see this kind of like underdog trio start to break apart a little bit, which I was happy. I like that. Yeah. I like the three underdogs.
Yeah, me too.
No, I mean, I think people, that's the thing. People are labeling the trio as underdogs, but they have lasted so many times, like so many tribals, that it's hard to view them as underdogs. Yeah. Like they are clearly
when they formed, I think when they formed, they were.
Yeah. It's kind of like, once, you know, I don't know the saying where it's like you live long enough to be the villain or die the hero, or I don't even know what the saying is. Whatever the saying is, something like you're there long enough to become the villain.
Right.
And I feel like
you either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain.
Yes. Right. That was a very expansive way to get that point out. Yes. Which I feel like has happened because, you know, at first it was like, whoa, like how are they going to navigate being the bottom three? And now it's like, now they're heading into the final 7. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you're pretty much the majority. It's the trio
Yeah.
plus one at this point.
Right.
So it's
Well, they
been
thought
very
they had Sophie with them too,
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. She's the plus one. Yeah. So it's very interesting to see, like, okay, now that's like, is it still fun to root for them now that they've kind of like navigated the tough part, didn't take any hits? Is it still fun for you, Nick?
Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking, she is so good. I like listening to you.
I
I was
know.
like, that is so
Thanks.
good. That's such a great question. I personally, I love Sage. So I think anything that Sage is involved in
Yes.
is still going to make me giggle at the very
Relatable.
least.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the fact that she was using farts as a cover story for having a private conversation, I'm like, is it still fun to watch? Yes, because I think that even though they do make up almost the majority, they still are like in this way like the weirdos. Like it still very much feels like Savannah, Soph, Rizzo, and Sophie now are kind of like the hot pretty clique, and it's like Sage, Juwan, and Steven are kind of like a little weird, and they came together because they're all just like being authentic. And I think that their gameplay is coming from more of a place of necessity than like flashiness, where I feel like sometimes the other four, it feels more like they're trying to like peacock a little bit and, do these flashier things and swing their idols around because they can, not because they have to.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. I don't know. I just love this show, and that was a great question.
It's been really interesting for 49 because it felt like it had a slow start, right?
Yes.
So it was very hard to either get connected to I was gonna say characters, but that's how they present us. But get to really connected to people in the game. I really enjoyed getting to know 49 outside of the game, like them as people. But we know that's not who we're getting to see in the game. People present different versions of themselves or whatever. And so it was really hard to kind of see, like, okay, what's the story of this season? We don't have themes anymore. And so what is 49 going to be characterized as? And so now that we've hit the merge, I feel like it's really picking up. And it is like, like you said at the beginning, so wild to think about it's almost over. We only have a few weeks left. But I feel like it has been a lot more exciting in terms of, okay, what is the plan going to be? How's it? It's not, they've left some suspense in terms of how things are going to come together. And what's going to, which side is going to prevail. But, it's really hard when like when, people out there know who's on 50. And so that's a very, skewed view, watching the season. I really wish we could have watched the season without knowing that, because then it would have been so much more exciting to know, like who is going to get the leg up or whatever. But I will say it has picked up and I think I found myself, especially this season and last season, like it's hard to just root for like one or two, like back in the day, you find a person you love, you root for them. Now it's just like, I'm just, rooting for a good product in front of us.
I just want a good season at this point.
It's funny because I find I flip-flop. I always root for the underdogs. And even even though like Sage is my girl, I love Sage, but when like Savannah had her little breakdown, or Soph was, like I just feel like I always end up sort of rooting for those underdogs because it just tears away at my heart, and then all of a sudden the underdogs are now on top. And then I'm like, okay, well now I'm going to flip flop and root for the other people. Like there's really not one person that I've never not liked, especially if they're like an underdog. I'm hoping that they can just make it through one more time.
And I think that speaks to the new era, just kind of in general, kind of going to your point, Aysha, of being kind of like what the theme is. I think the overarching theme of the new era more so is fluidity, which would make sense as to why you kind of go back and forth with who you're rooting for. When pre-new era, it was very much Survivor from the beginning, even in the tribe portion, felt like an individual game. That sole Survivor, $1 million check in the mail, like was very drilled home in the pre-new era. And there's just something about new era that's very kumbaya. It's very like ebbs and flows with alliances. There's no clear-cut lines other than last season when there was like a very dominant alliance to the very end. So I think it's interesting to see how the game has evolved. Part of me loves it because it's like 1 week I'm dead set rooting for Juan, and next week I'm like, okay, maybe I want to root for Savannah now.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I don't know. Speaking of rooting for teams, we have a reward challenge. I love that we're back in the 2 challenges an episode era of the game. But
Yeah,
now
that's
we're
fun.
Merge. And shockingly, we have a mention of the sanctuary. I almost forgot that existed.
I know. I don't know why they don't do it.
Right. It should, you would naturally think that would be the place for the rewards. Like, why are you switching it up and like, oh, when you get back to camp, y'all are gonna go over there and everyone else is gonna go over there?
I don't understand. Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, maybe they want to keep it sacred, quote unquote, where it's a certain group of people, not a certain group of people, but just like, it's like a perk to go. Not every reward is at the sanctuary. So you want to be the one to go to the sanctuary.
But that's like the word, you hear the sanctuary and you're like, oh my God, bucket list, you got to go to the sanctuary, and you feel, if you didn't go, if you never went, like you feel like you missed out on something so much, because it's the sanctuary. And I'm just so surprised that they haven't done it, more of it.
Yeah.
It's also like if they're trying to make it a thing, they would be making it a thing, they would be doing it.
Yeah.
But this challenge was fun. I love an ocean challenge. I don't know about anybody else. The middle of the water challenges, I always love. We see everybody has to actually, before we get into the main meat of this challenge, we do have the actual moment with Christina saying, Jeff, I want my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And that part, I actually watch Survivor every week with my mom. Mm-hmm. And I just looked over at her and I literally started tearing up. I was like, oh my God, that got me. I'm a big mama's boy.
Yeah. I teared up with this one too. Because I also watched it with my mom, and only because she was in town for Thanksgiving. So it was just kind of like, oh my gosh, like, I get it. I wouldn't even fault someone for crying like that for their mom who's back at home.
Yeah.
Exactly. You miss your people. You miss the people that are your support system, who you can turn to at any moment. Like if, Christina is going through a hard time in real life, she can just text her husband, call her husband. He's there. Right. And so just to think of like, oh, I want her. And then, when I get back, even I can't be with her physically. It just will eat at you in a different way. So this was just like another step in her grief journey, which I'm glad that like she was able to just kind of get that out.
And how she got it out was like, I think it stopped everybody's hearts, right? It was just so emotional and so raw. And, I feel like everybody, how did you not feel that? That was like, that's so difficult to watch.
You can tell, like, especially because Christina has been very, very like demure, very polite, very, sweet this whole season. So to not only hear it, but like feel this like anger of this grief coming out was both like refreshing in one weird aspect, but also like so heartbreaking because it is nice to see the mask drop. It's not that it's nice to see, but seeing the mask drop is like, this is why people go out there, this is part of that journey. So I'm happy she's getting it, especially because she's been doing her thing out on the island. And I feel like we haven't been getting a lot of Christina gameplay. We usually get her when we need like a smiley moment or like a fun confessional. So it was nice to see just like a real moment.
Even for her to have found the idol, that one episode, I can't remember if it was the last one or the one before, and that was like the Christina moment. That's all we got. She found it. It was like, what?
And I think we were talking about it. We felt like we needed more content on that, right, Nick? We were like, we needed, like, it's such a big deal to find an idol. And, she found it, and I just felt like, I don't know, like we needed more content on her and the excitement and everything that, I don't know. I just felt like it was not downplayed, but like, I know I wanted.
No, I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. And getting into like the little nerdy bits that I know about Survivor, the percentages of like male to female idol finds is like way different. I think in the new era, the gap is closing, but like it felt like she was like, "Oh, here's the idol cut," and I was like,
"Yeah."
I was exactly. Like, and the whole lead up to her idol find was confessionals of Alex, and I was like, "What is?" I was like,
"Yeah,
what is happening?" But I'm glad that we got a full no camera, no cuts, no edits moment with Christina to just express her feelings.
Yeah.
And then she has a very triumphant moment in the challenge too. She's just stacking it on this episode.
It just shows her strength and her willpower, her determination of not giving up, and like why they chose her. Like this is why they chose her, because look at what she did.
Yeah, we got so much Christina that I got nervous. That I was like, is this her episode?
I was clutching my pearls a little bit. I was like, oh no.
I know. I was like, goodness, please, you're right, no. Right. Yeah.
So we do see that the winning tribe, which was Sophie, Steven, and Sage, the blue team, does go to the sanctuary and they get some barbecue. I feel like the first sanctuary visit is always barbecue for whatever reason. I think on your season it was hot dogs.
Yes.
Another barbecue food. And they move on. There wasn't too much, honestly, before the next immunity challenge that I personally was like, wow, this is so invigorating. Other than those cheeseburgers look so good.
The only thing I really took away from it was the moment with Sophie and Sage on the hammock at the sanctuary, where Sage is trying to pitch Savannah. And I was like, ooh, is that a good thing? Because now, like, it's obviously there has been like a vote in between, but there was the moment of MC going out and them feeling like, dang, we were hoping Sophie would go out. And I don't think people are really letting that sit with them, how much she felt burned. And so it's like that opened up her game to be like, hey, I can play with whoever. So I wonder, was there a sense of like, oh, we got Sophie back in, or the fact that Sage is part of this original Uli, right? And so she's thinking, okay, maybe it's just original Uli plus Sophie, but let me read the room and see if she's willing to do that. I just thought that was a little risky, knowing that Sophie has been burned.
Yeah, and I do feel like it just goes to show you just don't know who you can trust. And, when you're trying to feel out whether I for one, like the second she said it, same thing. I'm like, oh no, like, is this going to be a bad thing? Because when you're the person saying the person's name, then I thought the target would be on her from that point on. I literally thought they were just going to gun for her, because I know if I heard someone saying my name, I would be rallying to get that person out. It's just.
Especially saying that before the immunity challenge has even happened, like having a tentative plan is good in your brain. Having it in your brain is good. I feel like they get those burgers in them. Everybody's feeling good. Bellies are full on the hammock. They're like, let me just throw my plans out there.
Yeah. Did they have alcohol then? Do you know?
I don't remember if
I don't think so. I think it was just soft drinks, if I'm remembering correctly. But another moment I did love before, there's two moments that were kind of like feel-good moments, which were good because we had a very heavy first half of this episode, was Jawan being determined with this Hawaiian sling to cheer everybody up and get some food in them. And he comes back with a fish that was maybe this big. I know. But he was so proud. I was so proud of him because that Hawaiian sling looks so difficult. I can't even begin to imagine. It looks like shooting, trying to shoot something with a rubber band in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah. I remember somebody going out and doing it, and their whole arm was bruised. They didn't realize that
it was like snapping back on them.
Yeah, it snaps it, and so I think it's very difficult. And isn't that like, this is like the Survivor moment that everyone dreams of having? Like, this is that bucket list of, oh my God, I went fishing and I actually caught a fish, whether it's this big or whatever. Like, I was so proud of him. And even if I don't even know if they ate it, but like,
I don't know. It looked like it was all bones and scales.
Yeah. So that was really a good feel-good moment. And I was really, really happy for him.
Yeah, it because it's like, I mean, even for Rizzo to break down in that moment,
Yeah.
like Rizzo crying, and just kind of like feeling that hunger, feeling the defeat, and it's just like one more thing. And another thing was that the fact that this is just one more reward challenge that Jawan did not win.
Right.
So even though he had a reward, he has still never won a
Anything.
reward. Yeah, so it's like maybe maybe that was a thing, for some reason him and rewards just don't go together.
Yeah, he's got an unlucky streak when it comes to, those awards. I want to ask you, Aysha, we've been asking everybody that we've had as a guest, how do you feel about Uncle Jeff, Uncle Jay? How do you feel about this movement that's happening on season 49?
Okay, I do think it's running rampant a little bit right now because people like the shift, Survivor's been on for, over for 20 plus years, right? About 25 years. And at the time, Jeff was everyone's peer, so no one's gonna call him Uncle Jeff, no one's gonna call him like a big brother Jeff or whatever. And so it's just finally reached the point where a majority of the cast, he is like, he could have kids their age, right?
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so I think it's one of those things where people want to have, it is in a lot of communities, people call someone, uncle or like auntie or aunt, as like a term of endearment, right?
Yeah.
And so it would be sweet if we only heard it like in a couple times, but that's been their established name for him, whether it's Uncle Jay or Uncle Jeff. And so I think it speaks more to where we are in Survivor today and how they view Jeff in terms of like, gotta love Jeff, right? And so and then if they refer to him that, it's just it just catches on. Like no one was calling him that our season. If someone had started, then maybe it would have caught on. And it's one of those things where they've built their own community. So if everyone's calling him Uncle Jeff, and then you have the one person, oh Jeff, then they look like the outlier. So maybe everyone didn't even want to call him that.
Right.
It's just like,
what do you think Jeff thinks of it?
I think he loves it.
Do you really?
That's the thing. He's never acknowledged it, though. He has never, at least that we've seen, been like, "Oh, Uncle Jeff, I like that." Like he's never acknowledged it.
If he hated it enough, he would say, "Guys, Jeff, call me Jeff." Like he would not be afraid to put his foot down and like demand that he be called Jeff. Yeah. I think he loves it because I think he understands that it's a term of affection, right? That they're showing that, hey, we are all against each other here, but at least we got you, Uncle Jeff, Uncle Jay, right? So, I can see how people are like, let's get back to the Jeff. But I think it's just something that's really caught on this season and just spread throughout the cast. So it's just like, that's something that, you see other people do, you acclimate to it. And then it's just like, oh, now we all see him as Uncle Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still don't like it.
I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it.
From my perspective, Survivor came out literally the year I was born. So I've had Survivor my whole life. And to me, like Jeff is the allure. Like Jeff is part of the puzzle that is Survivor. So I don't know, like even calling him Jeffrey would feel weird, that is his name, like there's just something to me, like I know that there's no ounce of my soul that ever feels like they're doing it to be like facetious or anything like that. Yeah. But part of me is like, are they trying to create a viral moment? And, like, I don't know.
I think I think for us as the audience, it humanizes him a little too much.
Yes.
Whereas like when they're out there, he's the main one they're talking to outside of the other producers who you're not like looking at as your family, right? It's just like, it's one of those things where he is the on-screen version of at least somebody who's not against me, right? And so I know it can be because everybody talks about it, right? Like that's been a common thing all season, and it hasn't run like this rampant. Like I don't think it was in like there was maybe a couple people in 48 called him Uncle Jeff.
I feel like I heard that.
Yeah, like maybe one or two times. It definitely wasn't like this.
No.
And I mean, and I think no worries. I don't think people are going to be calling him that in 50. So this is going to be something. Yeah, exactly. I think it's going to
I don't know, because we have 2 season 49 people there. So they just might.
True.
They just might.
True. You know, it's just, it's their one little quirk.
We'll let them have it. We'll let them have
it. Look, they're on Survivor. Own it, right?
Yeah.
They're on the
do
island.
whatever you want.
I'm in my basement, you know, so. But moving into the immunity challenge, I actually really like this immunity challenge. The teetering tunnel.
Oh, that was so cool.
This was such a cool element. I love the way that everybody was literally getting thrown around like a rag doll. We had the like puzzle discs. We had balance beams. I feel like this was a very good challenge for people who are not like endurance beasts. Like this was a pretty level playing field. If you can walk in a straight line and crawl through a tunnel, you can pretty much do this challenge.
Right.
It was looking like it was going to be a blowout with Steven. He got to his puzzle way before anybody even thought about it.
Yeah.
But he blows the lead. And this was crazy. But I keep jumping things. We had the rice debate.
Oh, right.
We had the rice
about that.
I think this should be the last time they do it.
Yeah.
It has lost its sauce. The first time it happened, so cool, right? Like, and then the first time he stabbed it, it was like, oh, there's a sense of urgency.
There's my Jeff. That is my Jeff.
Yeah.
Like 6 days left in the game. Like no one's wanting to give up their chance at staying in the game one more day for rice.
Can you imagine being the person that says, nope, I'm feeling really safe. I'm good.
Right.
Like,
no.
Talk about looking like an outlier. My goodness.
Yeah.
That's a target on your back.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I like that they even said, like, Rizzo was like, it's not even a consideration at this point. Like, Jeff, I love you. And then they tried to negotiate. And Jeff tried to have this whole moment of, you've already given up your power because you all want to play. I'm like, well, then sweeten the deal, Jeff. Like, give them something that they cannot say no to, more other than rice, you know? Like,
I was surprised that they didn't do, like, even offer the shot in the dark like we did, and we all gave up our shot in the dark. You know, like,
that is still so insane that you all did that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Was there ever a moment after y'all did that? Was there a moment that you're like, dang, I wish I had it?
No. But you know what, Aysha? Like, I had that idol. So, like, for me, until like, I always went in, I've always say this, I always went in sort of a little very comfortable, which I could have easily been blindsided, but like I always felt like I was okay because I could pull that out if I needed. And I actually liked not having it, because when we were looking at someone, you know, wanting to, you know, knowing we're going to try to blindside someone, we knew that wasn't the option we had to worry about.
Yeah.
So once that was gone, like that was a big relief, I felt.
Yeah. And I mean, even, with the shot in the dark, like with all of the thoughts I've had about when I got voted out, like the very last thought was, I should have played my shot in the dark.
Really?
Like, it's just, it's one of those things where I'm just like, no, there are moves I wish I would have made, or people I wish I would have talked to more, or signs I wish I would have picked up on. Like at Tribal, Teeny looked over at me and like shook his head, and I was like, you know, and in that moment, it's just like, do I act on that, or am I reading too much into it? Because the last conversation we had was good. And so anyway, I think more about the different interactions with the people on my tribe, as opposed to, dang, I should have played that 1 in 6 shot that could or couldn't have hit. It's two-sided, you know? So it's like one of those things where, just looking at one side of it, you think, duh, put the Survivor logo together. Like you put all the letters go in order. But when you're working with two different sides and under the conditions they're under, like it makes sense that it's just like, I bet Steven was just like, why can't I figure this out? Like this is, you know, it's one of those things that's probably, especially with him thinking he was the vote for that night. Yeah. He's like, it's putting him in overdrive.
Especially because he had such a lead. He had like built almost half the puzzle by the time that anybody else was really in the game, and then he just hit this wall. And I was like, this poor man, you can see the rope is coming and he's running out of rope to hold on to. I felt so bad for him. But I was so happy for Sophie because she's just a diva. This back and forth between her and Savannah is giving me life. I love it. And I think it gave Sophie the confidence moving forward to play a little bit more aggressively.
Yeah.
I definitely, and you can even see her confidence at tribal council too.
I mean, it's interesting though. I wonder if Sophie, like, there's two ways to play it, right? So say Sophie decided to go the route of, I want to keep Savannah because she is a challenge shield for me. Everyone's going to look at her as a potential person to win challenges. If it's just me, they're only going to look at me. But if Savannah's not there, you're winning, girl. Like, you can go on a run. You've proven yourself in like multiple different kinds, like endurance, running, finishing in a puzzle, like everything you've shown.
Even social.
Yes, exactly. Right? Like, you have proven that you can win multiple types of individual immunities. And with Savannah out of the way, you have no competition, you know? So it felt like with the necklace around your neck, that could have been the route that Sophie took, but instead she decided, like, no, I need this shield here, which I think is very interesting at 8. You know, like, I think you could run into a individual immunity that, oh, you don't happen to win, but Savannah wins it. Now they can't get Savannah. They want to get. I wonder what the thought process was at this point, because we saw a confessional from her saying, like, I want to keep Savannah for that reason. I wonder was there more to it in terms of just like their established allegiance to each other, or was it simply, hey, I need somebody else here who can win?
Do you think it was a little bit of pride? Like, was it, I'm going to keep
I want to be the
other
best
strong woman here so I can continue to beat her and take her out when I'm ready?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was really interesting. The back half of this episode was very good. We see that Sophie literally with one conversation blew up the entire vote for the game. And everybody starts scrambling. There's advantages flying out. There's extra votes coming out. We have Sage trying to make football references at Tribal that don't really make sense. And it's just insane. Rizzo at Tribal Council is very plainly like, well, we know what's happening. They don't. So it's crazy to see what like a little bit of security has people doing. And
what do you think of Rizzo's fake idol?
I don't know, because he found a real one, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
What did he trick you too, Nick?
Well, wait. I was fully like, did I hallucinate this? I was like going back in my notes and I was like, did I dream that he actually like opened the paper? But I was
Do you think that's a little cocky? Like, to me, I would be really annoyed if I were playing the game with him and he pulled that.
Well, I think it's really smart, because to the people outside of his inner circle who have been fed this idea that he found an idol, some people might buy it that they were being bamboozled this whole time. So to a select few, there's the possibility that his real idol is now actually a secret.
But that would be only 3 people. Like, he did this performance for 3 people. Sophie.
3 out of 7, that's impactful.
I know, but Sophie, okay, but here's my thing about it. So Sophie, this was for Sophie, Christina, and Steven, right? They're the only ones who don't for sure know that he has an idol, right? And so by doing this, aren't you risking Sophie's loyalty? Because if Sophie is thinking, oh, I thought he had an idol, but he did this, unless they truly brought her into the plan. Like, if all 4 of them knew this is what's going to happen, I'm going to play a fake idol so that potentially Christina and Steven think I don't have an idol anymore, then I could see, okay, then that was like a flashy move. People are going to be talking about it. And maybe the jury will be impressed when he does actually play his real idol. But I don't feel like like now, like you're heading into the final 7, I don't think he needed a power move to have one up on Christina and Steven. I think if anything, because I mean, obviously they put red herrings in the previews all the time, but we hear Sophie saying, I want to go after Rizzo and Savannah now. And so I'm wondering if like doing moves like that, on top of being the first one to stand up when the person is voted out, to take credit for the move. Like
That was bad.
He did it with Alex. He did it with Juwan, saying, hey, I had to get you before you got me. That was Sophie's plan.
Yeah.
You know, so
I know.
it's one of those things where you're even risking your own allies starting to think, wait a second, like he's really trying to show like and show the other people how good of a player he is, and that's only going to work for me so far, like only so long, because one person wins this game. And so I just wonder how, like, obviously we know Savannah ate it up. She's laughing. She was able to feed into it with Juwan and be like, you, oh my gosh. Right. Like, so Savannah was very aware of this and like the gimmick. I mean, and no, I think she was very aware that they knew they had the votes. Right.
Yeah.
But
and this is what I mean when I was saying at the beginning, is like this peacocking element. Like, they may not be the underdogs, but they are, because of the way that they're being played, I guess, or the way that they're being played around. Like, not to cut you off, that's what I mean. It's like this moment of Savannah. Did you? Like, you know, it's just like one of those things where like, who is she doing that for? Because she knows Juwan's gonna go home, so like, they're just twisting the knife.
But you know what? I have to say though, like when you're out there, you get so caught up in all of these moments that you could see Savannah was probably so angry knowing that they were flipping and they were going to try to take her out. I mean, it's hard when you're scorned like that to not be like, yeah, oh yeah, you know, and everything that she did. So like, I understood why she did it, because knowing that your people try to blindside you and it fell through is like, they did that to Rachel on our show, on our season, you know, like everybody voted her out. Rachel and I were the only ones that knew she was safe. So you have to sort of be a little humble when something like that happens as well, because that's just one survival of one night, you know, and that's like the difference. But you could see she was doing all she could, Savannah, to not just like really let Juwan have it. But you could see that they were, you know, really going at it. And even after Rizzo did play his idol, did you see that Juwan turned to him and said, come on, play the idol, play the idol. So like I felt like he did that so that everyone would know that he really had the idol too.
Yeah, it was funny too, with just like, and I won't say this for his whole game, I'll just say it for this tribal. It felt like Juwan was the kid, like the little brother playing the game with his remote, like with the controller not plugged in. Like he's just like, oh, I'm really doing something.
Right.
I'm doing something. Right. Like only this tribal, it really felt like, because he had been the swing vote for so many times, he's like, he got so comfortable with him knowing what's going to happen at tribal. And so the fact that he's like, as soon as Christina played her idol, he's like, Rizzo. Yeah. And it's just like, okay, is that part of your plan, that Rizzo's going to try to protect, you know, himself? Or because he's playing the game at that moment, he's not encouraging Rizzo to go play it for Savannah, you know? Like he's encouraging Rizzo to go play it for Rizzo, to burn the idol, but then also get out Savannah. So those were his two things in his mind. But for Sage, she wanted Christina to burn her idol and then also to get out Savannah, because that was another thing that I was really toying with until I saw the secret scene. I was like, dang, all this like went crashing down when Sage told Juwan about Christina's idol, because then he proceeded to not trust Steven and it became a thing, right? But then we saw with Sage telling Sophie about Christine, like the potential of Christina having an idol, we then get a secret scene of Sophie and Soph looking through Christina's bag to confirm she had an idol, and at that point deciding to pivot to Juwan or Sage. So that was really different, because I was trying to see like, where did things go wrong? Like you could have easily gotten out one of these, like how did the plan get back to where they were able to create this solid plan Like where did it go wrong?
Yeah.
But I think it was that just like letting that get out there too much about Christina's idol and knowing, okay, let's just be safe. Not Steven or Christina. We have other options.
Yeah. But I do have to say though, too, I know for sure that if someone confided in me and told me someone had an idol, I would have absolutely told my number one. I would have told Caroline and Gabe no matter what. So like, I understood why Sage did that and told Juwan, but I just think that's like you're saying, that's where the whole thing just fell apart. And, so he was more upset because they never told him, right? Juwan?
Yeah, he was more that Steven knew and didn't tell him. Correct, and then he tried to confront him about it. And he was like, oh, I don't know if Christina has an idol.
Yeah. Also, it's funny looking back like at my notes and now after a couple of days and talking about the episode, because there are some things that are said. And then after the person goes home, it's like, wow, they were kind of giving us a little clue, because Juwan, one of the first things that he says when he sits down at Tribal openly to everybody is that there's a big blindside coming. And there was. Yeah. It was him.
Yeah. So, the person is charming. Yeah. They don't see it coming, but they're a threat to me and my alliance. Yeah. Whole time he's a threat to his own alliance.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
He is. The call is coming from inside the house.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's going to be like, we saw multiple moments like this. Juwan was the same Juwan where he was like stroking his beard, and he very much thought that we're going to come out of this burning Christina's idol, burning Rizzo's idol, and getting Savannah out. Yeah. And, only one of those three things happen. Maybe that's what happens when you get a little too greedy and like the outcomes you desire. It's like, okay, let's keep it simple. But it's just like, I don't know, you're winding down. You're thinking there's only so many days left to prove yourself as a player. And you want to do something super flashy. You want to do something that the jury is like impressed by. Yeah. And so it's just like, I wonder, what that's like, him going to Ponderosa, because he's the one that flipped on all three of them. Yeah. So
yeah. I just have to say, Christina wearing her idol as hair jewelry. Yeah. Iconic. It was out in plain sight the entire time she had it. Mm-hmm. So good. Yeah. That is so good. I love when people are creative. And because those idols, like the idols in the new era are, I'm just going to say it, they're nothing special. They're a couple beads on a string. Yeah. Back in the day, they used to be full-blown statues or plaques or jade stones that you had to wear. So finding like creative ways to incorporate them into like that moment of like whatever of daily life, because I didn't see that secret scene of them digging through the bag, but like what a great tie-in to her having hair,
and that's what happened was like, so Soph dug in the bag while Sophie like looked out, and so Soph was like found something. It's like, I think this is just from Tree Mill, right? And then Soph kept digging, and she's like, okay, this looks a little bit different. But I don't know where it's from and if it's an idol, so let's just not risk it. Which I'm like, I wish I would have in the moment tried to. That's another thing I've thought about is like, there was a moment that one of the strings on my bag fell off, and I was like, if I could play this off as an idol, I would. But then it was just kind of like, I didn't know what the idols looked like our season. Like, you don't know if they decide to change something, and hadn't seen one be played yet, and so. So interesting.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we do see episode 10 snuffs the torch of Juwan, which I had a roller coaster of a time with Juwan. I really, at first I was like, oh, this guy's kind of weird. I kind of like him. And then I was like, wait, he's kind of doing a lot. And then I was like, wait, I kind of like him again. And I ended on the note of feeling like, oh, I really liked him. He was a sweet.
Yeah.
How did you ladies feel about Juwan's run on this season?
I personally feel he should be very proud of his run. I think he played good. And in the beginning, I felt like I didn't really get to know him that well. And all of a sudden, he just was playing. And I felt he was actually thinking and working and playing the game. So I think he should be proud of himself. I think he did a good job. And I have a feeling he's a good guy. So I liked him.
Yeah, it's always nice seeing like fans go on the show, right? Like he was at like the RHAP event that was in Brea, California during Survivor 45. And so I was there, and there were different people there. I didn't recognize he was there until recently. A picture of him, he like went on stage to do like the a costume contest. I was like, oh my gosh, like we've been in the same room before. I had no idea at the time, because it was going through casting at that time for Survivor 47. But I think he should be, like, I agree. I think he should be proud of how far he made it. I mean, he even said it in his final words, like, I wasn't first. And so maybe that was even his mentality coming in, like, just don't want to be first out, right? And so the fact that even in the individual tribe,
that's my biggest fear. If I ever had to go out on that island first, I wouldn't even be able to show my face getting out first. Oh my God. Ugh.
And because there's different ways to look at it. You could be the first out, or you could be my situation, which was first out on my tribe. And so, it was like, you just never know how things are going to work out, right? Because you have no control over who your tribe is, or the dynamics, or people making wrong decisions, so it's like you have no control over that. It's just like, that's one part.
And you're still strangers. You're still strangers.
Yeah, exactly. You are. And so I think, like, even the fact that if Uli had gone to tribal, it probably would have been Juwan, right? Early in the game. So the fact that he was able to make it, past the merge into the jury portion, and, made it to this point, like, I feel like it seemed like he seemed very content leaving, or not content, but he was okay. Like, okay, I feel good about my game. But the fact that he took Rizzo's torch, do you think that was on purpose?
No, I don't. I honestly don't think it was.
With his history of using other people's stuff this whole season, I don't want to feel. I can't feel like it was intentional.
I think, and even was just like, what do I do? Like, so he didn't know what to do. He just went. I think he probably must have been in such a state of shock, right?
Just
like
picked up a red torch.
That he just went and grabbed anything, because he's like, what do I do, Uncle Jeff, or whatever? And then Rizzo in his bag, and like, I just think he just grabbed anything. And
I love when he got up. He went, raise your hand if you did it.
I know.
I was like, I love that. I love when people can, like. It's tough. It's a game for $1 million. People dream and watch and hope to be on the show for years. Like, so from like that part of my heart, I understand if you go out and you have a not so happy or like kind of like graceful exit. I love those exits too. But I do love when people can get up and be like, all right, you got me, But
like, even in that moment, I'm like, Yellow Sophie, keep your hand down, keep your options open, like,
especially like in front of a jury, like there's still a game happening. Like that moment might have just been like 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not voting for any of you if I have the chance. Like you never know.
Yeah. Did you notice that the jury did know that there was an extra vote?
Yeah. Because they read out the 9 votes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just messy for that.
Yeah. I will just say, not loving how melanated the jury is. It's been wild to see just boom, boom, boom. Obviously all for different reasons, but it's one of those things where it's just like, it really makes you want to study the dynamic, like, and there has to be like someone probably out there has written a paper about it, but just the social dynamics of Survivor, and just like the benefits of having like-minded people, or people that you can just like relate to, or people that are the level of trust, how easy or harder it is to come by with certain people, or if you've never met someone of a different background, what that's like. So that hasn't been fun to see. But I know that a lot of people try to just simplify it on Twitter or wherever, or Reddit, and try to make it seem like, oh, it's not a race thing. No one's saying it's a race thing. We're just talking about just like the importance of, our own social dynamics back at home, and how that impacts the game in terms of just like who you feel most comfortable with, who you can like gravitate to, or who has to work a little bit harder to get along with one type of person over another type of person. Like even as simple as like if there were 18 or 17 rocket scientists, you know, like Steven is just like so comfortable, right? And one is not a rocket scientist. It's like more often than not, that person will probably not have anything to relate to these people about. And so anyway, that's just
I love
one
that you
thing.
brought that up. I love that you brought that up because it's been a conversation that, especially in the new era, that has been that it cycles every season. I feel like that conversation of whether it's a race thing, whether it's not, there is a thing. There is a discussion that happens when the jury comes around every season. And I think it's good that people are still discussing it online. And the, Survivor fan in me and the people lover in me wants to believe that it's not as deep as hopefully it could be one day. I hope it's not that. But it is. I love that you brought that up because it is a thing. It's a new community that is being built.
Exactly. And that's that's the point, is like when you are in a newer community, it's just like all these different dynamics play a factor. And I hope that people don't think, which people do, but I'm just saying out there, people do think that anyone communicating this is trying to push a narrative. I'm not trying to say that anyone on Survivor 49 is racist, which is what people are trying to imply online and stuff. That's not it at all. It's just one of those things where you're just like, wow, it's an interesting thing. I think it would be it would be a topic of conversation if there were, because what are we at now? 4? If there were 4 white people on the jury and then everyone's like, hey, like, how is that happening? Well, who knows what the dynamics are. I just think it's really interesting to kind of study the dynamics and like the way it plays a part. Because there's been a conversation of like older and younger and like, you have male, people female. Male and female. There's always those conversations, and no one's saying like, oh, when there's the men always beat the women. No one's saying that the men that beat the women are misogynists. Like those conversations are allowed to happen. But when anyone brings up race, it's like, no one's racist. Like, yes, we agree. We're not trying to say that. We're just saying this community, it's happening, we're seeing in this season back to back to back. It was like, what was the factor in the social dynamics? Was there, so anyway, it's just been very interesting to observe.
And it's tough too, especially because like you had mentioned kind of in the beginning, we see one episode a week, and every single one of those episodes is 72 hours of continuous footage consolidated into an hour and a half with commercials. So there is just so much that rolls into who gets voted out, and it's interesting to see kind of how the cookie crumbles every week. But I love the jury. The jury is I feel like it's a milestone for a lot of people. If I can't win, I hope I at least make the jury, and I am super excited because I think the people that we have on the jury, Nate specifically, I'm really excited to see how he's been cooking up in his
feels like he's been gone for so long.
I know.
Oh my God. And these fedoras, he keeps going out with these fedoras. I love it. But
I want him to grow his beard back out, though.
I said that when we first saw him. I said, petition to bring back the beard, please.
Yes.
It looked so good on him.
It did.
But that is episode 10 wrapped up in a bow. It was a good episode. I think, honestly, this was the most exciting gameplay episode.
Yeah, this was good
thus far. I'm going to miss Juwan. He had a very fun and goofy energy that he brought to the season. I do think that they got him. That's really all
simple as that. Because it was a choice between Sophie, and they decided to give Sophie the choice to say it should be Juwan.
I'm curious to see if Sage goes on like a rampage. It'll be interesting to see the wrath of
her crying at the end. That made me sad. Especially
because with Juwan leaving, does this lower her threat level because they were seeing them as a duo? Is this actually going to help her, the fact that Juwan is out?
True.
So I'm really curious to see, because the next time on was very Sage heavy. So I'm excited to see like what doors does this open up for her.
Right.
Yeah, I'm excited to see.
Yeah.
And you at home know where to watch your favorite recap over here on Reality Check, episode 11. We will be back with you next week. Josh will finally be home, but we'll all be together. The family will all be back together. Super, super special thank you, Aysha. Thank you for joining us. It was lovely having you. You kept me on my toes this episode. You had so many good questions. No wonder you do what you do.
As good as she does.
Yeah, no, for real. But thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Be sure to check the description for all of Aysha's links and socials and all of those things. You can check her out on so many different platforms, talking about so many different shows, just as eloquently as she did here.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Sue. Thank you as always.
Thank you.
See you next week. I love you so
Appreciate
much. And yeah, we'll see you back next week. Instagram, TikTok, you guys know the drill. We will see you on one of those platforms, but we'll see you next week too. So that's it. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you.
You know?
Aysha, great having you, Aysha.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so
Yes.
much for inviting me, Sue.
Oh my God.
Of course.
Yes, we're slowly checking everybody on season 47 off.
Yeah, we're getting there.
But we'll see you next week, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Aysha.